What is happening, every people? Welcome to the Mad Poets Show, the Mad Poet Show with the Mad Poet Society. I am the Mad Poet. You are an audience. We are the Mad Poet Society. Thank you for being here. It's Friday night, 8 o'clock, Mad Poet time. Tonight we're doing my 60th album. It is called Finite Reality. That first song was called The First Funeral. We got a good little crowd going here tonight already. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming in. I see Obscure Mysticism Cults is joining us from YouTube. Also on YouTube-based Philosophy Mom, my friend Gira. Thank you for coming in. My parents are here. Always nice to see you guys. Happy birthday wishes to my father coming up in a few days. He's going to be, I think, 5,000 this year. So happy birthday, Dad. Congratulations on 5,000 years. What else we got? Tom is here. Always nice to see my man Cycling Virgil. Therese is in on YouTube, also going to be joining us on Twitch. And Blue Jay 1251, I haven't seen you in quite a while. Thanks for coming in. Always good. And Tom, good having you back. Yes. Yeah, I do not miss Sarah. I just saw her a few minutes ago, but she's doing really well. She was actually just came back from Spokane. She was out there. Her brother and our sister-in-law had a layover at Spokane Airport. So she went out and saw them, had dinner with them. And there's Sarah. Oh, I didn't see Sarah earlier in the chat. So welcome. Thank you for being here. Oh, I had a good run today. Ran about 6 miles. Kind of felt like going a little further, but I didn't. So there you go. But it was good. Listening to the new album, feeling like I'm starting to get there. Yeah. The production things I've been trying to figure out, they're coming in. They're coming in now. It's getting better. Still got some steps to take before it's release time. So no saxophone for you guys yet, but it is on the way. Don't forget that. For anyone who's coming in for the first time, as I said, I'm the Mad Poet. You're an audience. We are the Mad Poet Society. Playing my 60th album. This is fun. I think this is probably the album I've played more than any other in these online shows. So I know it pretty well. I actually didn't practice this one. I usually like to practice either the day of or the night before. I haven't practiced it, but I think I can pull this one off pretty well because I have played it so many times. Let's roll on with some music. We're going to keep on rocking. This next song is called The Ghost of Temptation. I gotta say, I am absolutely loving this thing still that I set up a few weeks ago. I set it up so that the lights turn on and then the song stops automatically, so I don't have to hit the space. I only have to hit the space bar to make things go, so I got this foot pedal down here now. Well, foot pedal, an old keyboard with everything ripped out but the space bar. And yeah, I don't have to worry about screwing up the song stops anymore. It makes it just ever so pleasant. Much, much easier. And I've also set up a new thing that historically, when I'm doing these shows, as my long-term viewers will know, I have sheet music scrolling in front of me. And so I kind of have a visual place where I'm starting. And I've set it up so now I have a click track, as we call it, that counts me in. And that does not go across to you guys. So I hear it, but you guys don't. And I was like, I should have set that up a long time ago. Look like we might have a few people watching on some of our less populated websites, streaming chat room things. Trying to think of the right word. I don't have the right word. Streaming websites. But hey, from wherever you're coming in from, thank you very much for being here. I am having a good time here tonight, as I always do in these shows, and hopefully the people watching also have a reasonably good time as well. So, this next song. Got a bunch of triplets going on in this, and this is a song inspired by... So I grew up, I kind of came of age musically in the 70s and 80s. Well, I came of age in the 70s and 80s because I'm old. Also my parents' fault. There was this band called Metal Church, and they had an album titled Metal Church, and on that album was a song called Metal Church. And that song is freaking awesome. To this day, that is just, that song just lights me up. And that the guitar riff in that song inspired the intro kind of main riff in this song. It's certainly not by any means the same piece of music, but people familiar with Metal Church from the album Metal Church by the band Metal Church will find this very comfortable and possibly comforting. So, this song is called 6 Hours Ago. Apologies, guys. My batteries went dead in my wireless system. I will switch these out. Wango Chango, welcome back. I haven't seen you for a while. I hope you are doing well, my friend. Great to have you here, as it always is. Oh, man. So when I start setting up my shows, I've got a checklist. And one of the things on the checklist is wireless/batteries. And I didn't check it this time. I just assumed they were good. And this shows you just how wrong it is possible to be. Come on, little battery, come on out. Don't be shy. I've got these great rechargeable batteries. And fortunately, I do have a set charged up. And if that were not the case, I also do have some non-rechargeables upstairs. So, okay. Thank you for your patience through my technical difficulties. You know, it's kind of fun recognizing how far fewer technical difficulties I have these days compared to when we started these shows. It has gotten quite a lot better. Okay. From the middle, this song is called 6 Hours Ago, and now we continue. Tom says, I make grocery lists, but occasionally leave them on the counter at home. Not helpful at all. Yeah, I think, Tom, it's entirely possible you are not the only person who does that. And I say this because, personal experience. Oh, yeah. It's so easy, to miss little things on there. And I was talking with one of my students a while back who has an interest in doing some streaming and was kind of just asking me about, what do I do to set up my shows and have everything ready. And so I went through my list with him. He's like, man, you have got a lot of stuff on there. I'm like, you don't have to have a show as stupidly complex as mine to be effective. You really don't. That is not an important factor in this at all. In fact, sometimes I think that doing as much as I do is a little bit of a hindrance to actual getting people to view my show. I don't think this is necessarily one of the more accessible Twitch channels. I think it's one of the more awesome Twitch channels, but I don't think it's for everybody, which is okay. You gotta like what you like. There are a lot of great musicians in live streaming, and I feel like just, you know, moving to this as such a common venue now is a great thing. So many musicians are able to perform and do live shows they never could before. And it's great for us introverts who hate going to bars, because bars suck. And there's people there. And I don't like being around people. And you gotta carry your amplifiers and yuck. Don't get me wrong, I've done some great shows in bars. I've had some very good times there, but I'm a very introverted person. So this works nicely for me. Again, wherever you're coming in from, thank you very much for being here. Little technical difficulties on that last song, but we worked through it as we always do. I guess we don't always do that. Sometimes we have technical difficulties and they shut the show down. I've had a few internet problems that have shut shows down. That's been quite a while, and it's gotten much better out here. And of course, the smoke machine incident shut the show down very effectively. And I've had a few other things that just didn't work out, but we make the best of it. That's what we do here. We just plow on through, baby. Still playing the same album, Finite Reality, my 60th of 64. Next song is called On the Run. My man, Cycle Tom, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate the $20 tip. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everyone. If I've missed any tips or chats or anything, my apologies. That is never my intent. I always do try to be inclusive. If you happen to be tuning in from Africa TV and are chatting, I will not see that, unfortunately. I have no way. I've never been able to do something with the account that would enable me to connect the chat to where I could see it through my actual system. It's unfortunate, but know that you are appreciated no matter where you're watching from. And definitely never mean to miss anybody. And I do appreciate everyone being here. Tippers, followers, subscribers, whatever it's called on the various websites, viewers, thank you very much. If you like what you're seeing and hearing and you're not familiar with my work, check out themadpoet.net, because nothing says I got here second like .net. Which is exactly what happened. I believe that the madpoet.com is available. Last time I looked at it, I think it was like, they wanted like $2,500 for it. I'm like, I'm not paying $2,500 for a freaking website. No, thank you. And it used to belong to, I believe it was some sort of a bar down in Australia called the Mad Poet Bar and Grill or something, that I'm guessing went out of business because the website's available. I like to mess around with music. Another thing that may come as just a great big huge shock to people, just as much as I'm introverted. This next song is called You May Be Wondering. And if the thing that you may be wondering about is the Locrian mode, well then this is appropriate for you, because this is what I wrote this song in. And the Locrian mode, for those non-musician types, is known as a diminished mode. The concept of diminished is basically that it's dissonant. That's a diminished interval that you're hearing there. There are other ways of playing diminished intervals, but we don't need to go into the advanced theory on it, or even the intermediate theory. But what it does, from my perspective, because I'm improvising my guitar solos, is unless I do some different stuff, put in some perfect fifths, or maybe put in a secondary dominant or something into my playing, which is not really accounted for in the work and makes it more challenging. It's just basically you don't get a good solid resolution to what we would think of as the root. So I kind of have to rely on the repetition pedal nature of the music to supply that. This is called You May Be Wondering. So about 40 minutes before I started the show, normally I'd be doing a guitar lesson, or a music lesson I should say, with Susan. But she wasn't in tonight. I had made a fresh loaf of homemade wheat bread in my bread machine, because I actually used my bread machine instead of just keeping it in storage. I was sitting here eating and knocked my maple syrup just right over. Fortunately, it didn't get into anything too tough to clean. Didn't get on my keyboard or anything. But I have been finding drips of maple syrup. But this next song always makes me think of Susan. And it also makes me think of my grandmother, my Grandma Marie, who's never heard this song because she was extremely selfish about things and died years before I started writing these songs. People, I'll tell you. But this song is dedicated to my Grandma Marie, and she was awesome. I had a great relationship with all my grandparents. But so it always makes me think of Susan as well. Because when Susan heard this song, Susan, I also want to point out, she's at a rehearsal tonight, so I know she's not listening, but I got to brag about her. She's awesome. And Susan is the only person to have purchased every single one of my albums. I know there are other people who have downloaded them all. You can get them for free and you can get them that way legally. I allow a pay what you can plan concept for that. But she is the only person who has paid for every album that I've put out. And that makes her awesome. Without a doubt. When she heard this song, she really liked it. And she asked if she asked my permission to do a cover tune. Now legally she doesn't have to get that permission. Anyone can do a cover of any published work in America. It's kind of, the roots of that law are kind of unfortunately rooted in racism in the early U.S. But we do have that in place. And so she made this, she writes a lot for choirs, a lot of choral work. And she wrote this into a choral format. And I just remember the first time I heard her electronic version, there's never been a recording done of it that I know of. But just hearing the electronic playback of the sheet music that she created, it just broke me into a cold sweat. And it was like 10 minutes before I went live. And it was just totally awesome. So this song is almost dedicated to Susan, as well as being actually dedicated to my... I do have another song dedicated to Susan. She was one of the early people on my list of people to dedicate songs to. And she's probably going to have another one dedicated to her before long. If, I start putting out albums again, that would have to be part of what would come into play for that. Nonetheless, we're going to slow it down a little bit. Well, I guess we're going to kind of keep it slow. That last song was a little on the slow side. This one's also in B flat minor. As I've pointed out before, B flat minor, basically, if you wish to stay in key, eliminates all of the open strings on a standard tuned guitar, which is what I play. Playing a standard tuned guitar and playing hard rock and heavy metal is almost an act of rebellion today. It is so uncommon for people to actually play in standard tuning. It's like, oh, my guitar's got 14 strings and I tune down, to, below human hearing. And I don't. I just play standard tune and it works well for me. So this piece, B flat minor, going out to Susan and dead Grandma Marie. This is called The Shadow's Embrace. All right. I do enjoy playing in B flat minor. It's anytime you switch keys, you kind of have to think a little bit differently. Everything is very pattern oriented, but putting those patterns in different places just gives different possibilities on the guitar. And whether or not you're using open strings, for example, whether or not you have reasonable access in your key to open strings, that'll also change the way you may or may not think about what you're doing with your improvisation. And that's always a fun one. That one has only one open string. F minor, so no, B flat minor has no open strings. F minor has one open string. E flat minor has one open string. And E flat minor is interesting because normally our second string is a B note, but when you're playing E flat minor, it's actually a C flat, technically speaking. And that's also just fun to do. And we're going to pick it back up here. And I don't know if anyone is listening who's never heard or seen a Mad Poet show before, but if you're new to this, don't worry about your entire seat because you're only going to need the edge for this next song. Because ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the G sharp minor portion of the show. You are welcome. This song is called To Think Beyond Rationality. You may now return from the edge of your seats. Thank you for your time. Drink lots of water, everybody. It is the best thing going. Again, for anyone who might be coming in late, coming in for the first time, if you're not familiar with what we do, I am the Mad Poet. You are an audience. We are the Mad Poet Society. You are now an official member, and that's the way it is. Tonight we're playing my 60th album. It is called Finite Reality. We just played the 7th song, so we've got 3 more to go. We're moving toward the end of the show tonight, but we're not there yet. We got a little left in us. This next song is called Thought Is All I Am. keep reaching to stop the songs. That habit has not died yet. I haven't accidentally stopped at the wrong spot yet, but slowly breaking myself out of that habit, getting into this habit of just kind of relaxing at the end of the song, which is very nice that I have that capacity now. Again, if anyone is new here, what you're seeing has been a very, very long time in development. A couple years, it's almost 2 years since my first stream. And I think probably in a couple weeks we'll be doing, I'm not even sure what the date is today. I know it's close to the 10th. So probably, I want to say in 2 weeks we'll be doing my 2-year anniversary show. I'll have to actually check the dates on that. The very first album I ever played was called The Patron Saint of Murderers, which is my 55th album, and I will be playing that for my 2-year anniversary. So, Tom, if you happen to be in touch with Glenn these days, let him know, because I know that's his favorite of my albums, and we will be doing that. It should be a good time. And back then, I was actually facing the other way in the room. It was painted very differently. The lights, I had 4 lights sitting on the floor, which was still very cool, but it has definitely come a long way. It's been a lot of development over the last couple years, and I'm very pleased with where it's gotten to. We've developed a small but extremely cool fan base community, if you will. And we've got just some great people who come in and fiddle around and chat and watch the show, listen to the show, and smell the show, and do whatever it is else you're doing there while I'm doing a show, and I appreciate it. So we got 2 more songs tonight. Now tonight, this is not applicable, but sometimes I play this album only because of this song. Because sometimes you just need to celebrate with a pile of skulls. All right, everyone, we are moving on to the last song of the evening. Again, thank you very much for being here. I am the Mad Poet. You are an audience. We are the Mad Poet Society. I love doing this. This is so much fun. If you're coming in late, we're playing my 60th album tonight. It's called Finite Reality. We've got one more song left. If you like what you're seeing, if you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're smelling, check out themadpoet.net. It is basically the repository of all of my stuff. I actually put a new page on there. If you click on live on themadpoet.net, which should be right at the top of the website, it takes you to links to all of the places where I do my live streaming. Platforms, live streaming platforms. That's the word I was looking for earlier. It's got links to all 12 of those, and feel free to check them out at any time if you are, in fact, so inclined. I do live stream every Friday at 8 o'clock p.m. in the Pacific time zone. Adjust for your own time zone as necessary if you would like to continue to see these shows. Always appreciate people being here. Thank you very much for the tips. Thank you very much for any new followers. Thanks to the chatters, and thanks to everyone who's just out there watching and listening. I've had a good time tonight. This, like I mentioned earlier in the show, this album, I believe I have played more than any other live. It's a very fun one to play live. And one of the reasons that I've played it so much is because I've played it so much. It makes it to where if I'm not prepared well, I can just throw it in and go. And that works very well. One more song here tonight. This one's kind of got a weird key to it. I meant to write this in E minor. I started writing in E Phrygian. And because I thought I was writing in E minor, I used a sharp 7. When I realized that, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to kind of roll with it. See what happens. Came up with some interesting chord combinations. I really enjoy this piece. Last song of the night, ladies and gentlemen. This is called Before Eternity. All right, gangsters, hoodlums, rapscallions, rogues, fools, jesters, kings and queens. And yes, kings and queens do belong last on that list, as they do in life. Thank you for being here. You are appreciated, unless you are, a politician or king or queen or something like that. God, I'm a mean person, Terrible. Nonetheless, thank you for coming to my show. Thank you, Tom, very much for the tip. If I missed any tips, if I missed any chats, my apologies. I do appreciate everyone being here. Thank you all. That is it for me. I will be back next Friday, 8 o'clock p.m. in the Pacific time zone. Until then, do what you do it well, and I will see you on the other side.